I used to take them to a park across the street to play, which was also wooded. And there was a real deep ravine with a bridge over, like a brook or a stream, whatever. And I used to say to the kids, if you're really quiet, when we get over the bridge, look down and you'll see the trolls. And they thought I was kidding. And I wasn't. I could see the trolls.
The thing for me was there was definitely fairies that popped in, definitely gnomes, and even the crystals. I was talking to these gigantic crystals.
And she said,
just like everything.
And she said, that's why oak trees hold on to some of their leaves all winter. They shelter the fairies.
The fairies that I've talked to are a little on the spicy, sassy side.
I've been seeing them at my window, and at first I thought it was goldfinch, and then it dawned on me there was no way goldfinch are that small. And all of a sudden you just stopped and you went,
And one day in particular, I think it was in the fall, and I was walking through and I was like, oh, bummer, all the flowers and the grass is gone. I wonder where my fairies are. And all of a sudden I hear this, we're right here.
You just see them for a few seconds and then they disappear, and you'd go look, even when they were still there, you'd go and look and they'd disappear. And that had happened for a long time. And then I went, oh my goodness, there's fairies at Mom's house. This time on Beyond Numerology, I'm sitting down with Kim and Donna, and this conversation goes into one of my most favorite subjects ever: fairies, elementals, and the hidden magic that might actually be all around us. What started out as a conversation about fairies turned into something much deeper. We talk about the experiences we've had seeing them, feeling them, and interacting with energies most people are taught to dismiss or explain away. Kim is an animal communicator and medium who shares her experiences connecting with fairies, trees, crystals, and elemental beings, while Donna tells one of the most fascinating fairy encounters I've ever heard. And honestly, some of the things that happened during this conversation still blow my mind. We talk about the idea that these beings may exist in another dimension that occasionally overlaps with ours, why so many people are taught to fear magic instead of trust it, and how children often naturally see things adults have trained themselves to ignore. This conversation goes into fairies, trolls, spirit guides, talking trees, disappearing objects, past lives, owls, dreams, and the possibility that the world is a lot more alive than we've been taught to believe. And more than anything, it's a conversation about remembering wonder. So without making you wait any longer, let's get into it. Welcome to Beyond Numerology. I'm Tammy Lopresti, the creator of Cosmic Ascended Numerology, a rare and super accurate way of decoding who you are and why you're here. If you're new around here, I'm so glad you found us. And if you've been in my world for a while, then you already know that I don't do numerology like everyone else. Think of this podcast as your weekly spiritual hangout. A place where we dive into your soul's plan, uncover what you came here to learn, understand, and experience, and help you wake back up to the you that you came here to be. Every Friday night at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, we record new episodes on Zoom and invite a live audience to hang out with us. This is your chance to be in the room while we chat with our guest of the week, do mini numerology readings, and enjoy occasional psychic insights from our guests. Whether it's card pulls, spirit guide messages, messages from loved ones on the other side, or other surprises that they might bring. Want the VIP experience? Stick around for the after show where you can hang out with me and the guest of the week to answer your own questions and get a behind-the-scenes look at the magic happening live. It's always fresh, always different, and always a good time. So whether you're tuning in live or catching the replay, welcome. I'm so happy you're here, and I have a feeling you're going to love it. Now let's go beyond numerology, because your soul's plan starts right now. So, hi everyone. I am here today with Donna and Kim, and we're going to talk about fairies. And that's one of my favorite subjects because I believe in fairies, and I think both of you believe in fairies, right?
Absolutely.
It's a good plan to bring people that believe in the same things that we're talking about. So, um, so my first interactions or understanding of fairies and things like that was when I was little. My grandmother was pretty obsessed with gnomes, and she would always talk about gnomes, and she always said that they were real, and she would tell us stories about them and things like that. And then like as I got older, she would tell us, more, and it just kind of like evolved, and she would talk about angels then mostly. But it started with like, the elementals, and the gnomes and everything like that. And my mom was always a very big believer in fairies, and she collects fairies, and she's got this like extensive fairy collection that she won't even put out in her house because she's afraid the kids will break them, you know. But but we actually had a party about, I want to say like 15 years ago. We had an Alice in Wonderland party at my mom's house, and my mom is obsessed with plants and growing flowers and things like that. And she's got this elaborate garden around her house, and we took probably 100 pictures that day at least. And when we were going through the pictures later, editing them, there's faces in so many of them. Like there's faces everywhere. And the faces are very clearly defined. Like they're not like it's not they don't look like fairies, but they look like faces. And there's just faces everywhere. And we're convinced that my mom has fairies living there. Then what started happening after, well, actually it wasn't after that party, it was before that party, but I didn't really put it together yet. When I was living with my mom, I had been living with my mom a couple years before that. I was staying in her guest room for about a year. And I kept seeing these things out of the corner of my eye, and they were kind of like glittery and sparkly a little bit, and they would like flit around, And and then I'd go look and they wouldn't be there, And my mom has a lot of like paranormal activity at her house. She always has. She invites things, it seems like. Um but I didn't know what it was, but it was these little things, and they'd be like all different colors. Sometimes they're white, sometimes they're gold, sometimes they're yellow and orange and blue and purple, all different colors. But you just see them for a few seconds and then they disappear, and then you'd go look, like, well, even when they were still there, you'd go and look and they'd disappear. And that had happened for a long time. And then I went, oh my goodness, there's fairies at mom's house. Like after we saw the pictures, I went, there's fairies at mom's house. And then at this house, now we're 15 years later and I live across the country. I see them at my house now. Like while I'm working, I'll have these little tiny things that are just kind of around me. Sometimes they're just sitting with me. Like I can see a little light at the edge of my desk and it's just sitting there and it looks like just sitting, hanging out with me, maybe. And then other times they're like right out of the corner of my eye and I look and they're not there, and they're always different colors. And then this one day, I was sitting here with a client and we're talking about something, and all of a sudden, this like silver fairy comes, and I knew at this point that they were fairies. I realized at some point that they were fairies. She comes like, well, I don't know if it's a she, but it comes right in front of me, and it just drops like right in front of me on the paper that I was working on. I looked down and it was still there. And I only for like a couple seconds, but it was still there. And it was just this little like it didn't look like a little person. It didn't look like anything. It just looked like a little light that was kind of glittery. And then it faded away and it went away. But that's my experience with fairies. I do believe in them. I 1000%. They also show up in my readings where I will feel them around people and I will tell people, and then people will tell me I feel them too. And the other thing is that I tell my grandkids now that there's fairies, and we take little walks around the neighborhood, and there's this like one little section where these bushes are overgrown and you have to kind of walk in this cove to go down the sidewalk. And so I always tell them that's where the fairies live. And I tell them, you have to be very, very quiet. And then I tell my granddaughter, I'm like, tell me if you see a fairy, okay? And she's like, how will I know? And I say, it glitters, they sparkle. And so we'll walk through and she'll go, oh, there's a fairy, there's a fairy, And so I don't know. I don't know if there really is, but I do that because I want her to get used to magic being in the world. So
For sure.
anyway, so that is my experience with fairies. So I was very interested. Me and Donna had a discussion about fairies, and it was incredible. And that's kind of what opened me up to wanting to talk about this, more publicly, I guess. And Donna, you told me that you had an instance happen when you were on the phone with Kim. And that led me, which we're going to tell that story. But first, that led me to thinking about Kim. So, Kim, you're an animal communicator, you're a medium, and you have had experiences with fairies. I know that because Donna told me that. So what I'd like to know is, what are your beliefs about fairies? And then kind of tell us like, what are your interactions and things like that. And then we'll go into Donna's story as well.
Okay. Um, yeah, Donna's story is cool.
Yeah.
Um, so yes, I absolutely believe in fairies, elementals, gnomes, all of it. I don't know the names of all of them, but I know there's all kinds of elementals.
Hmm.
They do show up in readings when I do readings as well. Um, Sometimes, like people's kids have
Hmm.
actual fairy energy, which is
Yeah.
very interesting. Um, Animals also. They will, it's like, I don't know particularly if there's a fairy realm or if it has a name for it.
Hmm.
I haven't really took a deep dive into that. Um, but when I was working with my mentor, when I was doing learning animal communication,
Hmm.
she took us on like a little journey, kind of like a meditation. And she was just kind of walking us along and saying like you might see some crystals or like kind of like a guided tour, but not really. It was just kind of like what was popping up for us. And the thing for me was there was definitely fairies that popped in, definitely gnomes, and even the crystals. I was talking to these gigantic crystals. And they all have, just like everything else, they all have their own personalities. The fairies that I've talked to are a little on the spicy, sassy side.
Hmm.
Um, and once I opened that, um, I don't know what the right word is, that line of communication or
Hmm.
open-mindedness or whatever,
Hmm.
I would go for walks, and we lived kind of by a mountain. And during the summer, the grass would be really tall and there was flowers and all of that kind of thing. And then in the fall and winter, there was no grass. They would cut it all down and there was nothing there. And I would talk to them or hear, like, are you there? Whatever. And one day in particular, I think it was in the fall. And I was walking through and I was like, "Oh, bummer. All the flowers and the grass is gone. I wonder where my fairies are." And all of a sudden I hear this, "We're right here." I'm like,
Neat.
"What?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh." And it was a male and a female. And they're like, "There you are." And I can't remember their names. Um, but and I can't remember the message. It was a really long time ago, but the message that they had for me was very short, simple, very sweet. Like, I was like, oh my gosh. And then I walked down the hill, and when I got to the bottom of the hill, I went left, and on this particular trail, there's a giant oak tree.
Mm.
And so there was also an oak tree that was talking to me who also had a face in it. I
Neat.
wanted to throw that in there because you mentioned
Neat.
faces. And his
Yeah.
name was, I think it was Edward, if I remember correctly. But he had a big old message for me too. And it was something along the lines like, keep doing what you're doing,
Mm.
just like supportive information for me. And yeah, and then like you, I see them and they're not very big. You're absolutely right. They're not very big. Um, and they almost kind of have like a star shape,
Mm-hmm.
kind of, but not like a typical star that we see, but more like a
I know what you mean. Like that
yeah.
pointy star kind of like
Yes.
yeah.
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 And sometimes like the one I just saw a couple weeks ago, it was like this big. And it
Mm.
hung out for a while. It was up in my hallway
Neat.
and I was like, "Ooh,
Neat.
who's that for?"
Neat.
But
Mm.
yeah, and I use so I protect my property
Mm-hmm.
and I call in the fairies to
Mm.
surround my property along
I
with
love
other
that.
things. Yeah, because nobody's gonna mess with the fairies.
Yeah. So what do you believe about the fairies? A lot of people believe that they are um, dangerous or that you shouldn't interact with them or that they could turn on you or anything like that. I've never had that feeling at all. Like not even a glimpse of it. But I wonder like where does that come from? And do you have any do you know anything about that? Like how do you feel about that?
I I've never experienced anything on a lower vibration like that with the
Mm,
fairies. Absolutely
yeah.
not.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something that we might invite in, and it wouldn't be fairies. I feel
Yeah.
like fairies are along the lines with animals, like vibrating on a high,
Hmm.
a very high spiritual level.
Hmm.
Because it's when I'm in the theta state, when I'm doing my work, whether I'm talking to
Hmm.
spirit or whatever I'm doing. So, and that's where I hear the fairies.
Do you think
So,
that we're a little bit blending dimensions? Like maybe that is a different dimension and maybe we're just blending with them somehow? Because it
see,
does seem like they have their own realm in a way.
yeah. Yeah, I
So,
mean, to me, I feel like the Marys, the fairies are super magical,
hmm.
and I feel like they're just, oh, I'm getting chills. I feel like they're just like spirit guides,
Hmm. That's how they feel to me.
especially if you're feeling them around you, like they're around
Hmm.
you for a reason. They're not just there.
Well, what do you think they come for?
Um, I think they come to help us,
Yeah, that's what I think.
assistance. I
Yeah.
think, like here's something that you could do is when you see them, like when you're
Hmm.
seeing them,
Hmm.
what's going on? What are you thinking about? What are you doing? Are you working like, are you creating something? Like think,
I'm usually doing like graphic design a lot. Like that's what I spend a lot of time on. I think that's when I notice a lot around me. Also when I'm writing, I see orbs flying around me. Like I literally see them in the air.
so that could
So,
be a guidance for you.
I feel like it's a channel. Like I feel like I channel when I write, and I feel like they are helping me and guiding me. And when it's the fairies, I know they're working with me somehow. I just don't understand exactly how, but I know that I kind of think of Tinkerbell a little bit, like the
Yeah.
idea of Tinkerbell, how she'll like sprinkle her pixie dust on you. It kind of reminds me of that kind of feeling where they just give you a little extra magic just so that you don't lose the whimsy in whatever you're doing. Because for me, if I don't have a touch of magic in everything that I'm doing, I don't want to do it. Like it has to feel sparkly to me, like at the
Yeah.
edges, you know? So
Yeah.
I think they do that. That's what I think.
Yeah.
So
I would encourage you to tune into that, to talk to
yeah.
them. to
Yeah.
try to see like why are you here? Because
Yeah.
it's the same idea as a spirit animal or a
Mm-hmm.
spirit guide. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's
Yeah.
and us being human, we don't think about asking for help.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not a typical thing that a human thinks about.
Well, humans have trouble asking for help.
And that, yes.
And I will say, like, even though I've got a ton of spirit guide communication, I've got a ton of people on the other side communication, like loved ones on the other side communication, I still, every time I need to ask for help, I don't know how to ask it right. I always go, I really need help, but I don't know how you can help me. Just do what you do because I need help, you know? And I do think that if I could guide that a little bit better, like if I could just say, this is what I need, this is what I want, I think they would help me more accurately, like more directly. But I don't,
Absolutely.
I tend to not do that. In fact, I do a lot of open-ended help. Like just for instance, a couple weeks ago, I have an ex on the other side that I communicate with, and I told him, I said, I really need a visit, but I can't decide who I want to visit. I kind of just miss everybody. And I didn't want just one visit with just one person because I have that pretty regularly, but I mean, but it was time. I really needed a visit, but I couldn't decide who I want to visit. I said, I kind of just want to see everybody. And I went to sleep that night and I was in a regular dream and we were at this like party slash concert, just weird thing, you know. And toward the end of the dream, I walked into this room where all these people were playing pool, and the person that greeted me into the room was one of my uncles that I haven't seen in God, 20 years, you know, and I when I looked around the room, it was like a whole bunch of people that I knew, you know, and then like I spent the night visiting with everybody, you know, and it was really cool, you know. So that's kind of how they answer me when I don't know how to be specific, you know. And it works. It does work, which is cool. So, anyway, so I don't want to make you sit in quiet for so long, Donna. So I
That's
definitely
okay.
want you to chime in and I also want to so you told me this incredible story and I would love for you to retell that story.
Okay.
And
Is
because
it
that's what led
possible
us
to
here.
just kind of jump in the middle and then and back in? And the
Of
reason
course.
I'm asking that is the subject that we're on yesterday, I got this huge download.
I would love to
And
hear about that.
basically they said, listen.
Mm.
And do you remember? I don't remember exactly what the message was, but
Yeah.
Kim mentioned spicy. And I think that's what I said to you. They're like spicy, sassy, cheeky. But
Mm-hmm.
they said, first of all, that we need to listen. And it says that they said we take what we see too much for granted
Mm-hmm.
and too much at face value. In other words, you thought you were seeing an orb, so you saw an orb,
Mm-hmm.
but you were really seeing that fairy. And I'm pretty sure that was the message that I gave you a couple of weeks ago.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so they also said, and this was kind of funny, we need to listen with our eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And what they meant by that was we tend to use the word listen, especially with children, when what we really mean is obey, right?
Mm-hmm.
Listen to me. What we're saying is, I want you to do what I'm telling you to do.
Yeah.
So, what they were saying was apply that to your eyes. In other words, pay attention and obey. They went like this, what you're seeing.
Mm.
Again, it's you see and I see, I'm not just pointing the finger at you,
Yeah, yeah.
things that we think could be a fairy, but we say, oh no, it was an orb or it was the sunlight glinting
Mm-hmm.
off of a water droplet or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that we need to trust what we see, and often, again, sparkles or bright glints.
Mm-hmm.
And the question out there is, we will show ourselves to you. Will you believe?
Mm.
Then they went on to say that too many forget that the power of good and belief and trust is as strong as fear, which,
Mhm.
and this is what you were just talking about, is instilled to us because so many people have been taught to fear the fairies.
Mhm.
Don't thank them because they don't want to be thanked and then they'll trick you or harm you or whatever.
Yeah.
That's not how they work.
I
That's
don't think
what
so either.
we've been taught
Yes.
because it's not good for us to believe these things.
Yeah.
Just like it's not good for us. And they specifically mentioned the dragons, the unicorns, the gnomes,
Mhm.
all of those. Um,
Yeah.
so let's see, much good. They said much good has been ruined by, again, in quotes, the bad wanting to take over. So the
Mhm.
stories of the bad in the good are
Mhm.
what goes around, what's being taught. And they
Yeah.
ended with the fear is so powerful and ruins relationships while those just wanting to help. Again, going
Mhm.
back to instilling the fear.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
yes, there is a separate realm. Yes, it is a separate higher vibration or dimension. But
Mhm.
unlike a lot of higher dimensional beings, they find it a little easier to lower the vibration and come to us. But that's
Mhm.
also why they disappear so quickly.
Mm. That makes sense.
So
Yeah.
that,
Like maybe
anyhow,
they
that's,
can
I
they
guess,
can only hold the energy for like
for
to
so long.
lower it for so long. That actually
Right.
makes sense because that's kind of how it is with your loved ones when they visit. It's like they concentrate their energy enough to do something, but then that they're kind of spent, like they don't have it. At
Exactly.
least that's what it seems like, you know.
So
Interesting.
I just wanted to get that out there because you brought that, or Kim brought that
Yeah.
up.
I will
Um,
say one of the things I say a lot, I say this in my class a lot when I'm teaching numerology. I'm so lucky because I was not taught rituals and I was not taught boundaries and limitations. I never knew that you had to do anything to make anything work. I never had a limitation around my abilities. Everybody in my life, because I grew up in a family that was very openly spiritual, like my immediate family, things just worked when you wanted them to work and didn't when you didn't. Like, not that they ever didn't. It just they were on when you turned them on and they were off when you didn't use them. And nobody ever said you had to light a candle or do a ritual or meditate
right,
or any of those things.
right.
And so I never had to put any of those limitations on it. And I think the same thing about fairies. Nobody told me to fear them. So I never had a reason to. And I'm not really scared of very many things. Like a lot of the thing I'm scared of a lot of human things. But like when
Right.
it comes to the other side and all of those things, I've not had bad experiences at all. And I've traveled the galaxy. Like I've gone out into the stars. I've gone to really far away places. I've never had anything evil or bad or toxic or dangerous. And and anytime anything even felt off at all, it was very easy to move out of that energy. Like it was always
Hmm.
like, I don't like this, and I would move. And that was it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I had different experiences when I was younger, when I was growing up and stuff, but that was different. This is different than that. But yeah, so that's what I think. I really believe as long as you're not taught to fear it, you don't have any reason to you know and I have never seen any fairy with any bad intentions. They feel like they just feel like magic. They feel
Hmm.
sparkly. They feel like this glimmer of hope and this glimmer of like pixie dust. They really do feel like that.
Right.
you know
Right. And that's how they want us to see them,
yeah,
which is why they show us the sparkles and the glitter.
yeah, I
I
love that.
have had, and I basically or briefly touched on that with you, I
Yeah.
have had really bad experience.
Mm.
And I don't know if I can say if it was from belief or not,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm not going to go into now.
Yeah.
But and what I think is equally as important is what they verified yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
there's so much talk going on and education, which is needed right now about protection, which I protect myself constantly. I wear all the stuff, but we also have to face the fact that there is just as much, if not more, good. But we have also been taught to fear that good. So we're afraid of the fairies. We're afraid of the gnomes. We're afraid of the trolls, the brownies, everybody else. A lot of people are afraid to go to the angels and ask for help. You know, that's what their main messages that they're pushing now is take over the fear. The good is here. Let us in, let us help. We're here. And that they kept saying, ask her, will you believe?
I like that.
So mine started as a young child, and my parents were religious. Now, not shove it down your throat, but you know, we went to church, we went to Bible school.
Yeah.
But I was always laying in the grass and talking to, I didn't see, so I didn't know who I was talking to, but there was always something there. And then I grew up and got married, and my house was, for lack of better word, haunted. You know, that's what we thought back then. But people would say, aren't you afraid? Because I could just talk about it and make it happen, make the, you know, a visitor come in. And I always said, no, I'm not afraid because they're not here to hurt me. And they weren't, but they would do mischievous type things. But the fairies, the first confirmed visit happened this past September. And it was about 10:30 at night, and I was outside with my dog in my driveway. But I have spotlights. And he was standing there. I have a big pussy willow. And he was standing there smelling in the pussy willow. And all of a sudden, this blue, purple, green, now I know, fairy came down and circled my head in a figure eight 3 times. And then right into my face. So she was saying, look at me. And then she flew down and she did the same thing to Jessie, my dog, and took off. And I went in the house and I was gasping to my daughters, like, you're not going to believe it. You're not going to believe it. And so it was, maybe a week later, it happened again. The exact same thing, only this time she hovered here for 10 seconds maybe, which, you know, if you're counting it, is a long time.
That is a very
and
long
she
time.
went down. It is. And she did the same thing to Jessie and then flew away. Well, then it was my birthday, and I have a neighbor friend next door who makes cards. And she stuck a card in my mailbox, and I didn't say a word to her. And I opened it up. I don't know if you can see it.
Wow. Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, it's so beautiful. I had to frame it.
Yeah.
Well, it was like a week after that Anya and I were sitting on the floor in my bedroom on the phone with Kim. We had what constituted to me an emergency with our pet pigs. And I have a big, huge window in my bedroom. And I'm listening to Kim, but I've got the phone cocked to my daughter. And all of a sudden, there were 3, what I thought at first were goldfinches. But then it dawned on me, there's no way goldfinches are that small. And I'm trying to get Anya's attention without interrupting Kim. I'm poking her and I'm pointing to the window. She's too busy paying attention to Kim. And all of a sudden, more came in. It was like a swarm. And it was almost like they were laughing at me, teasing me. And Kim just gasped. And she said, you are surrounded by gold fairies.
Wow.
But Anya couldn't see it. At that point, I poked Anya and I'm pointing to the window. And that fast they were gone. So it was, now I don't remember timeline. It was either that night or the next night. I was in the shower, which is where I get all my epiphanies. And this
very typical,
female,
by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This water is vital to me. We grew up on the water and now we're landlocked. So I bought myself a little pool.
Yeah, nice.
And this woman's voice, like she was standing in the shower, said, Ela.
Mm.
And I said, what was that? And she said, Ela.
Mm.
And I said, Ela? And she said, yes, that's my name.
Mm.
And then she said, you would spell it Eichlah. So now I'm repeating it to myself because I don't want to forget it. And she said, I got to show you what's happening because I'm talking to you about this. See, Jesse comes in every time. He knows.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I love that.
See,
she said, I am, and she said it, this is an exact quote. I am the queen slash leader. She said that's very important because it's double.
Mm.
Not only am I the queen, but I am also the leader of the band of gold fairies.
Wow.
And she said, many, 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 many years ago, we were caught in a hail type storm and severely injured.
Mhm.
And she said, you were an ancient, very tall tree. And we
Mm.
came to you and asked for shelter. And she said, you permitted us to come in during, and this was a quote too, the cold season.
Mm.
And then she stopped and she said, that's why oak trees hold on to some of their leaves all winter. They shelter the fairies.
Mhm. I love
That
that.
was it.
Mm.
So I got out of the shower and I went on to Google and I
Mhm.
typed in Eichlah. And the closest that would come was Eilah, which is pronounced Isla.
Mm.
And it's a Hebrew term for oak tree.
oh
Oh,
my
wow.
gosh. You can't make
Wow.
that up.
Yeah.
You cannot make that up.
No, that's awesome.
It's
That is great.
amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
That's a lot. That's amazing. Wow.
Donna, are you
So, yeah,
tall?
I'm 5'6", so now.
Well, I
Hmm.
think that's tall.
I think that's tall too, by the way.
I'm 5 feet.
I'm 5'1", so
Oh
Yeah, Anya's
God.
5'1", so
actually I'm not 5'1". I'm actually 5'5". But I always say that I'm 5'1".
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Wow.
Sorry, I had to ask.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, no,
That's God, it's mind blowing. Like if you can
it
get
is.
me to not talk, that's mind blowing.
Yeah, it is. And
Wow.
then and then Tammy, it was shortly after that that you and I were talking, and
Hmm.
you were, and I didn't I say to you there was a fairy flying around the room?
We were talking about my owl. So you were talking about my
Owl.
owl.
That's your owl was on your right shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Which was crazy because I never told anybody that I have an owl, but people give me owls all the time. Like I have two owls right in front of my sink, which I need to show. I want to send you a picture of that. They're both gifts from people. People give me owls. I don't know why. I mean, I do know why. But I had a dream about an owl, and I was telling you this when you told me this. I had this dream about I want to say 3 years ago, something probably 3 years ago now, where I was in it felt very real. And this owl, this huge, huge owl got stuck in a power line. And I went out in the street and I untangled it. And the owl looked at me in a way like we had just bonded, like we had made a pact or something. And I felt so like it was just I don't know. I can't describe what it did to me. It was like an imprint on my soul. It felt like I walked
Hmm.
around with it for a long time. And I told only one person about it. And then she was at a vendor event with me like the following week or two. And this lady walked up to us, and I was like, "You look like an owl," you know? And I don't know why I said that, but I said that. And her nickname was something about owls, you know? And she was like, "I am an owl." And I was like, that was weird, you know? And I didn't know why I even said that. And my friend goes, "Remember that dream that you had?" And I was like, "Yeah." But that was as far as it went. I had no other like reason or connection, or it didn't really lead to anything, but for some reason I felt like this owl was a spirit guide for me then.
Oh,
and
definitely.
and then you told me about this owl, and I went, "Oh yeah, I definitely work with owls somehow, at least one." Like I feel like I have a bond with one. So yeah.
Well, and that woman was just kind of your validation that like
Yeah,
that was a legitimate dream that you had, that connection.
that's what it felt like. It felt like she showed up to like nod her head like, yes, this was real, because I was questioning why it felt so stunningly real, because sometimes my dreams are just dreams, but most of the time I'm traveling, I'm visiting, I'm doing things, and it's real. And I know it's real when I wake up, you know. So,
Right.
and that felt real. So, yeah. So
Spirit
Kim,
animal,
what?
spirit animal.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, very definitely. And I
So
think her records showed the beginning. I don't want to go into anything too personal.
you can say anything as far as my
No,
side. I don't know about Kim's side, but I'm open
yeah,
to
no,
everything.
didn't we were talking about your Akashic Records, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that it took you back to the beginning when you were a little girl
Mm-hmm. You were
and
telling
showed the
me You were telling me later, like you said that you had downloads because you had gone and looked, um, that I was a little girl and I was living in the South and I protected a tree. Um, and like I had
that
a
was home
bond
to
with a
owls.
tree. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then there was another time that you visited where I was a tree. And it was like two different versions of like pretty much the same story, where I had helped the owls, I had helped the fairies.
yeah,
This is why I have these connections. That's
right,
basically what it was. It was showing you the different
right.
connections in different lifetimes. Yeah, it was fabulous. I shared it with my mom because you were telling me that the owl's name was Emma, and that's my mom's
Oh, that's
name.
right. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. So my mom was blown away, and my mom was like, "I want to learn more about this." And I was like, "Me too." So it was really cool.
See, I think it's just once you let them, meaning any of them, the spirit guides, the animals, the fairies, whomever, know that you're
Mhm.
open to it, they come in more and more. And
Yeah.
especially now.
So Kim, while we're talking about this, are you hearing messages?
Well,
Well,
Kim was a black wolf.
Oh, neat.
There we go.
yeah, you just told me that the other day.
Thank
Because I'm
you.
like, why do we love the snow so much?
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other
Um,
Jesse.
I'm not tuning in.
I was just
I'm just
wondering.
yeah, if I tune in, probably.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of taking a break,
Yeah, that's fine.
but I can tune in.
I mean, it's
There
up
is
to
there
you.
is a lot of chattering going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, I
I
feel like
started
we,
seeing sparkles flying in front of me when I
Yeah.
opened.
yeah,
And
there's
that black wolf has a lot of little things around it as well. Some birds, and then a lot of different kinds of like butterflies.
Hmm. That's
Kind of
cool.
like the protector, again, protector leader, queen leader.
Hmm. Neat.
cool.
So
Um,
Donna, sorry, go on, Kim. I'm
no,
sorry.
no, no, no,
My
I was
brain
done.
goes all over the place.
No, you're fine. I was done. Go ahead, Donna.
I was
Or
gonna say, Donna, so what got you into this work? Were you born this way? Like, were you born very receptive to all of this?
Well, when I was, and I'm going to guess about 6, 7, 8, so
Mm-hmm.
very early 60s.
Mm-hmm.
I would go to bed at night and my mom would come in, kiss me goodnight, tuck me in, blah, blah, blah. And when
Mm-hmm.
she left, I would look up in the far left corner of my room and report in to the
Mm-hmm.
video camera, which I'm going to point out did not exist then.
Mm-hmm.
So only I could see it. And my mother never came into my room and asked me who I was talking to.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming now that there was a block put around the room because I was talking out loud.
Yeah.
But I don't know, and I'm still struggling with who was I reporting into? I
Hmm.
don't know. And like I spent all of my life outside. And
Mm-hmm.
we lived at the time in Pennsylvania in the mountains, and I was just out all day, down on the
That's
ground talking,
Yeah, that's how I
you
spent my
know.
life too. We lived in the woods in Pennsylvania and upstate New York too. But lived in the woods and I was outside all the time and I felt like the trees were my friends.
And they
Like
talked.
I felt like the whole wooded area,
Yeah,
they were all my friends. Yeah.
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 So I was never in with any groups as I got older. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a singer, I wasn't a musician, I wasn't an artist, I wasn't a cool
Mm-hmm.
kid, because I would rather be, by the time we moved back to our home state of Maryland, we lived on the water, so we were out in the water
Mm-hmm.
and waterfront community. I
Yeah.
need to clarify that. Um, so either growing things or in the water. And the trees talk, the flowers talk, but you can't tell 13, 16, 19-year-old friends that. They think you're
Mm-mm.
insane or you're high. What are you smoking? What are you swallowing? You
Yeah.
know. And then, like I said, our house, the what started it was very early on. I came upstairs with a load, both armfuls of laundry. And I said, boy, I wish this closet door would just open for me. And it went and opened. And
Wow.
I wasn't startled, nothing. I just said, oh, thanks. And
Wow,
then
that's
hung up the clothes
awesome.
and said, okay, you can close now. And the door closed.
My gosh.
And
Wow.
so it was just things like that. When we first
Mhm,
moved in to my in-laws' house, my
mhm,
father-in-law had died many years prior. Um, we made an apartment downstairs for my mother-in-law, and we had the upstairs. And
mhm.
my husband was in school, and he left dark 30 in the morning. And every morning that it was sunny, I would get up and go down the hall to the bathroom, and the front door would be wide open.
Wow.
And the first time it happened, I thought, oh, Joe left the door open. The second, third, fourth, fifth time it happened. Finally, I said to him one day, why are you leaving the front door open? Because he had been in Vietnam and he was
Mhm,
very paranoid. I mean, he literally would walk down to the mailbox and pull the door shut.
Yeah.
And he said, what are
Yeah.
you talking about? I said, every morning when the sun's out, the front door's wide open. He said, that's
Mm,
not me.
mm,
And I said, oh, that makes me feel really good because they're welcoming me to the house, to
mhm.
his family house, because his mother hated me.
Oh. Hmm.
So,
Interesting.
and that's just the way I pictured it.
Mhm,
And then when I got the kids, and we used to take them I used to take them to a park across the street to play, which was also wooded. And there was a real deep ravine with a bridge over like a brook or stream, whatever. And I used to say to the kids, if you're really quiet, when we get over the bridge, look down and you'll see the trolls.
mm.
And they thought I was kidding. And I wasn't. I could see the trolls.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
forget what it was, but it was something silly I would toss over the bridge as, like the bridge toll for
Mhm,
the troll.
mhm.
And again, the kids just thought I was being silly. And I thought, okay, I'm not going to tell them there's really a troll there watching us.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think trolls are bad, but they're not. They'll
Mm.
play with you and they're mischievous.
Yeah.
But as long as you are, it's like everything else. As long as you show respect,
Mhm.
they're fine.
Yeah. We used to have this thing happen when I was a teenager. So I also, like you said, I played in the woods and I talked to all the elementals, I guess, and the
Mhm.
trees, and I always felt like the trees were alive, and I always felt like they all had personalities, because they all felt different to me. Um and not because they looked different. They felt like they had different personalities. But I turned that off. I would say maybe at like sixth or seventh grade, I remember feeling like too old for that. Like I remember I still believed in a lot of it, but I didn't tell anyone anymore. Like it
Right.
wasn't appropriate, it felt like. And then I was focused on being cool, like, getting popular and things like that. And I think I shifted a lot. But anyway, when I was a teenager, we used to have things go missing in our house. And this
Oh,
happened
all the
all the
time.
time. And we always had ghosts. I feel like every house on the East Coast has ghosts. I don't know why,
Yeah.
but every house I lived in seemed to have ghosts. Some were worse than others. We definitely had bad experiences, but we mostly had just, ghosts, like just activity. And in the house that I always say I grew up in, which was my high school house, really, um, that house, things would go missing all the time. And there was this one shirt that me and my best friend had made together. Like it was a shirt that my mom bought me. And then my best friend used to come to school with me sometimes. Yeah, go ahead, Kim, that's fine. um, my friend used to come to school with me sometimes, and when she did that, we would we she would come to sewing class, and we brought this shirt, and we sewed this shirt one day, and we made it so it was like a half top, so that it was sexy, because we were teenagers, and it had these like really pretty see-through sleeves, and it was just really a cute shirt. Well, this shirt went missing, okay, and we used to exchange it back and forth, so she would have it for a week and I would have it for a week or whatever, and I couldn't find it, and I knew that I had left it in this basket downstairs, and I told my sister, and my sister said, "Oh yeah, that's the ghost." And I was like, "Okay, well, that's annoying." And she's like, "Yeah, you just have to ask for it back. It'll give it back." And I was like, "What?" And so she took me up in her bedroom and she said, "Yeah, you just go over to this like corner or whatever and you just say, 'Hey, give that back.' Say, 'I want my shirt back.'" And then you go downstairs and it's right where you left it. And it was. Like we did that
Hmm.
and it was. And I did that with a lot of things after that and it worked every single time. It was like the things that were missing always were returned. And I was like, what the heck? Like I don't know. I just kind of went through life going, well, that's normal. That just
Yeah.
happens. I don't know why, but whatever. And then I told this story to someone once that was talking about fairies to me, actually. And she said, "Oh yeah, that was a brownie." Or I don't know if she said it was, I think she said it was a brownie. I can't remember exactly what she said. And I said, "What is that?" And she said, "Oh, it's just like this little mischievous elemental that like they like to take things that are shiny." So like that shirt had like rhinestones on it. Like it had like sequins on it and stuff. Um
Hmm.
and it glittered a little bit. And she said, "Yeah, they just like to take shiny things, and so they take them. And but if you ask for them back, they give them back because they're not trying to hurt anybody." And then she like listed all these different elementals that were around that house because she said that she could see them and everything. And I was like, "Wow, that's so cool!" Because I had never heard of anything, but I had heard of fairies and trolls and gnomes, but I didn't know that there were so many other types of elementals. Of course there are, but I didn't ever think about that. And I don't know if it was brownies that she said, but I know that that was a word that she said that I had never heard before that.
Yeah.
But it was really cool. It was a really neat thing. And it explains something that I could never explain. I just thought Well, there's certain types of ghosts that just take things. I don't know why, you know. And maybe there are. I don't know, but she said that's what it was. So, have you ever had experience? Have either one of you ever had experiences like that?
Oh, all the time, still.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like tonight, I always keep a big black obsidian palm stone in my pocket, and it's gone.
Hmm. Oh, wow.
It's gone.
Wow.
And it'll come back. I know it will.
Yeah. Yeah.
My moldavite ring is missing tonight.
Oh,
Mm.
It's whenever I'm
Moldavite.
doing,
Moldavite is very active, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah, it always disappears. In
Yeah.
fact, I
yeah,
have one sitting right here.
I
I'm
have one
surprised
sitting
it's
here
still
too.
there.
Yeah, this one is always on my desk. Sometimes it's not though. Like
right.
I keep
Yeah.
it on my desk, but sometimes I will look because I have this little crystal bin here I have a bunch of crystals. Sometimes it's not there, you know. But I feel
Hmm.
like
Sometimes,
Moldavite travels.
yeah, yes, for sure. Sometimes though, when they're done working with
Hmm.
you, they will disappear or
Yeah.
they'll
Right.
break or,
Mine break
something.
when they're done.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Kim, when you said that you were interacting with crystals, what was that like?
Just like like you're talking to anything else.
Mm-hmm.
I wish it's like I should write this stuff down. But so I do remember in particular there was a gigantic rose quartz.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and at that time that would have been very relevant for me because I was also doing a lot of healing at the same time. And then there was also
Mm-hmm.
like an amethyst, but they were huge. I mean, they were
Mm-hmm.
like, and they were next to water, is what I
Mm-hmm.
remember.
Yeah.
And it was just like each thing had a little message for me as I
Mm-hmm.
was walking along this meditation.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
awesome.
And yeah, and it's, I'm thinking I need to do that again.
Yeah, you should.
Like bring,
Have you
talk to
ever
him.
tried to have you ever tried to figure out if you were a quartz or if so, what? I know I was a big brown stone, a rock at
Hmm.
one point, and I just remember that it was incredibly lonely. And it wasn't until I guess I decided that I had had enough of that life that I realized that I wasn't alone,
Hmm.
but I just didn't see anything else around me.
Yeah.
Interesting. Hmm.
But for you to have that communication pretty much screams that they were reconnecting with you.
Yeah,
Hmm.
could have
Yeah.
been. I have a friend who does past life regression and she'll do ones, like times when you weren't human.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I remember my friend, what did she say she was? I think she was a grasshopper or something.
Hmm.
But
Wow.
it was
Well, we've
really
all
great.
had to be all things in order to then become human.
Hmm.
Yeah. But I don't think it goes in order. I don't think it goes in order.
No,
I don't,
no,
you
Yeah.
know,
absolutely
but
not.
yes, we've been everything.
Right.
My daughter connected to one of my spirit guides recently, like over the summer and well toward the end of summer. And she was asking him, she was trying to connect to her guides, but she ended up connecting to one of mine. And she said, "Why are you talking to me?" And he, like, if you're my mom's guide, why are you talking to me? And he said, "Oh, because your mom won't listen," you know? And so
That's what
he's
the
like,
fairies told you too.
yeah, that's what everyone tells me because I won't listen. Yeah. Um,
Didn't your dog say that too?
yes, my dog said that. Everybody says that. Yeah, I know. I have a problem. I'm working on it. Um, for someone that has so much communication, I am constantly told that I won't listen. I know. Anyway, so he said, "Well, she won't listen, and I have your answer." So I figured I'd tell you, because she was trying to connect to one of our cats that passed away. And she said, "I don't understand. Why can't I connect to Sai Sai? I try to, and I can connect to everyone else, but I can't connect to him, and I don't understand." And he said, well, because Sai is, first of all, he's not Sai, you know, um, that's not who he is, you know, so you're not really connecting to the right source of who you want to talk to, because you're trying to talk to the embodiment of a larger being, you know, and that he's not that thing anymore, you know, that was just a part of him, you know, and he started explaining how that works a little bit. But he basically said, he said, so Sai is having a beetle life. And she said, a beetle life? What is that? You know? And he said he took a life as a beetle. And she said, why would he do that? And he said he needed a lot of healing after this traumatic life because Sai had a lot of trauma in this life. He was abandoned and he almost starved to death, you know? And like he was left in a house by his owners and almost starved to death. And he had like a nervous condition his whole life, you know, like he was very scared and jumpy and, you know, just very neurotic and all these things. And so it made sense when he said he needed to heal, but it did not make sense that he said, I mean, to us, because you just don't think this way, but he's like, yeah, he went to have a life as a beetle. And I guess that should somehow sound normal to people that are open-minded like this, because it does in a way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I want more information about that. You know, like I want to understand more, like why, how, like I don't know. Like I don't know what I want to know about it. I guess just to me, I have heard a lot, kind of like what you were saying, Donna, where like you become all the things. I believe that because I know who I am. I know how curious I am, that I would want to have every experience possible, you know? So I believe I either have or will or should or, you know, whatever. I would want that, you know? And I definitely feel like I was a tree and I was a rock and I was all these things, or that I will be if I haven't been. And but like I don't think it goes in order either. Like I don't think anything goes in order. I think time is just our own construct. And I think that I think we do what we want to do. Like I really believe that our soul just says this is what I need, or this is what I
Hmm.
want, or this is the experience that I will learn the most from. So this is what I'm going to do next. So that's what I believe. I talked to someone recently who said that we don't do it that way. He doesn't believe that. I think we all believe different things. None of us know,
Right.
you know.
Right.
But I definitely think that it makes sense to me that we would be all different things, you know?
Well, because like soul contracts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we sign up, okay, this is what I want to experience this life. We have a
Yeah.
soul guide. We
Yeah.
have soul guides who come throughout our life. Same with the animals
Mm-hmm.
that, we have tons of support when we come here,
Mm-hmm.
but then we get that spiritual narcolepsy at a certain age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I kind of feel like anything goes and I'm open to hear anything. I want to hear everybody's views.
That's how I feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Because it's like,
Yeah.
who are we to think that we're right? You know?
Exactly. Yeah. I always tell my students, like, I know it's not a very good position as a teacher, but I always say, I'm just as excited as you because I'm learning too. Like by
Yeah.
teaching you, I get to learn more. And I get excited every time new downloads come too, because I go, even though I know this stuff, I know what I'm teaching enough to teach it, I will always, always, always be a student because I am so excited to learn more. And I do learn more, I think, because I stay so excited to learn more, you know. Um,
Hmm.
it and I don't ever claim to know anything. Like, to tell you the truth, all of this is an interpretation of my beliefs, my perspective, my experiences. You know, it's a I feel like it's you know, just a whole bunch of things put together and shaped in a certain way for me to concept it and understand it. And I share it like anything that I know, because I like to help other people expand their awareness as well. But I don't believe that any of us, any human, I don't believe there's any human that actually knows the truth about anything that happens before this or after this. I don't think that we can. I don't think that we're allowed to. And I think that we just are interpreting what we're being shown and what we're being told. And it's being, because I know, at least for me, I don't know if this is true for you guys, but for me, they show me in metaphors. So, like, they don't really
Hmm.
show me, they don't really say, okay, so when you die, this happens, then this happens, then this happens. They show me in a way that I can understand it, you know? And so they show me like a metaphor, and then they tell me this is not exactly how it happens. This is how your brain can understand how it happens, you know? So just that alone, I know is a perception then, you know?
Well, and even everyone's experiences crossing over is different,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know? And like I'm really fascinated by the people who have NDEs.
I had an
Hmm.
NDE. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And I don't know. And then some days I wonder, well, maybe this really is just a matrix and it's all not real. I'm just making it all up in my head and living my own reality, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. I
I don't
think
know.
like that too. Yeah. I will say that the only true knowledge I know that I have is from my NDE. That is one thing that I know that I can rely on, because it was very, very, very clear about how things work. You know, like there were a lot of things that were explained to me that were very much like, this is how it works. You know, like one of those things was, nobody judges you except you, you know,
Right.
and nobody makes your decisions except you. So, like, when I died and when I realized I was dying, you know, she said, well, what would you like to do? And I said, well, I can't die. I can't die. And she said, that's okay. It's up to you. You know, like, you chose to come here. You can choose to go back. You can choose to, not go back. That's up to you. And I didn't know that before that. So that's why it was so profound. I thought I was being held here against my will. I felt like I was being held here against my will. And she said, no, it's all up to you. And then when it came to judgment, like, of how I was doing, because that was my other greatest fear. I was like, well, I'm going to get to the other side and there's going to be this judge in the sky that like hits a gavel and says, you're terrible, you go to hell, you know? And you need to be punished for all the terrible things you thought and did and all this stuff. And she was like, no, nobody judges you but you. How do you think you did? You know, that's all that matters. And she said there's no right or wrong. She said there is no
Right.
good, there is no bad, there is no right, there
Right.
is no wrong. There is no punishment at all. There is just, did you do what you said you were going to do, or would you like to try it a different way and do it again? Or would you not? That's all up to you. And I will tell you that those things freed me in a way that I can't even explain. Like, those things freed my soul and enabled me to be human again, because I couldn't have come back here without knowing that. I couldn't have stayed in a lifetime. I couldn't have stayed in a human body not knowing that anymore, because I felt so trapped, and so I felt like I was in a prison in my own body. And that's how I felt most of my life. And I always felt like I had to get out. I had to get out, and I couldn't figure out how. And then it was like, and then somebody said, wait, it's all up to you. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, if it's up to me, then I'll stay. You know, like, if it's up to me, then let's shape this into what I want it to be. But if it's up to somebody else and they're all calling the shots, well, screw you, I'm out. You know, because I can't do that, you know. But those are the things that I know I can rely on. And like, those are the truths that were told to me in a way that felt very real and undeniable. And then, like, the other thing about that was that it was more real than any day of this life has ever felt. Like, wherever there is that I went to, that was real and this is not. And you cannot come, at least for me, I don't know about everybody else, you I believe you cannot come back from a near death experience not fully aware that this is not real, because that is, you just are so aware of that. And it doesn't mean I know the levels of how real it is or why it is or anything like that. But when people started talking about the simulation theory, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Because this clearly is a play that we're playing or something, or a dream that we're having, or, something like that, because it's not real. It's really, really, really not real. You could put every day of this life into one container and it couldn't feel even close to as real as that one moment I had on the other side, and that's just so apparent, so yeah, I would say other than that, there's not, I couldn't say that I'm sure about anything else, when it comes to, life or death or the other side or anything like that. I mean, I'm sure that we don't die and close our eyes and that's it, but again, that's from the near death experience, really, so yeah. But yeah, that changed my life profoundly. And although I wouldn't recommend it, it's not the most pleasant experience. The before and after, I would say, like the during is just fine. The during is wonderful, but the before and after is pretty hard. But like I wouldn't recommend it. But then at the same time, I would recommend, studying what people have gone
Right.
through and really trying to concept it, because the stories are really similar. Like what's crazy is that I didn't tell anyone for years because I was so scared. Mine was a very traumatic experience leading up to it. And I was very scared that they were going to like lock me in a mental hospital or something if I told anybody, so I didn't tell anybody. I told my close family, but that was it. And that was for a long time until one day I was sitting with this guy, and he was like the stepdad of my heroin addicted fiance at the time. I had just found out that he was a heroin addict, and it was actually the night before I was leaving him. I was up all night because I was scared of him. And I was talking to his stepdad on the back porch as the sun was coming up. And he started telling me about a time that he OD'd. And he said an angel came to him and he told me this whole story about his near death experience. And I went, oh my goodness, that's exactly what happened to me. Like it was, I mean, it was exact. It was like the things he was saying were the same things that I went through. And there's no way that anyone could have known that. Like, I didn't tell anyone, And I was like, yeah, that was real. I mean, I knew it was real, but I mean, like, that was my, like, this is okay to talk about. This was so real, And that's when I finally started telling people. Not that a lot of people believed me because I wasn't surrounded by a lot of open-minded people, at that time. I am now because I only surround myself with open-minded people now. But at that time it was still like taboo to talk about things, Outside of my immediate family, there weren't a lot of people that really accepted my work or my thoughts or my beliefs or any of that, And there still probably isn't a lot of people that do in my extended family, you know. So, but yeah. Um, I don't know. It's been awesome though, like learning that there's so much more and knowing for sure that it's true, like knowing that it's not just fantasy made up in your head, these experiences are real. And when you're seeing glittery things, they really are fairies. And when you're seeing orbs, they really are your spirit guides and things, angels and things helping you and all of that. That's definitely real, you know.
And trees really do talk to you.
And trees really
And
do
they
talk
have a
to you.
lot of knowledge. A
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
knowledge.
Well, I mean, they just sit and watch, so they know more about the world than us. And don't they have an underground network as well where it seems like they might have more of a community than we have.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Wow. Anyway, this has been really fun. I love this conversation, and I love that we've opened up this conversation because I want to have more conversations like this. Like, I want more people to share their experiences, and I want um I want you guys to come again and share more experiences. Like, this is the kind of stuff that I just think more people need to make normal, like listen,
Absolutely.
like you said, we need to listen and we need to pay attention because there is a lot of guidance around us that we don't even realize, you know.
Well,
So,
Can I
and
share or two experiences that happened to me
of course.
in the beginning? And then that's when I shut down.
Mhm.
I was about 6 or 7, and we were the first house on the road on the left. So it was a T or an L. The
Mhm.
house, so next door was actually kind of behind us, if that makes sense. If you went out
Mhm.
our back door, you looked up to the left to the back of their house.
Mhm.
And I used to go play with the girl. She and I were friends, and they had a little black mutt dog named Trooper who hated everybody outside of the family but me.
Mhm.
He was fine with me.
Awesome.
And I don't recall now whether it was my friend's mother or father's mother died. And they had to leave town to go to the funeral. And I knew her, I had met her. And they asked me if I would take care of Trooper. So
Mhm.
I had to go across my backyard, make a left, go up the hill, and then they had privacy fence. So I had to come in the privacy fence. And when I got up there, Trooper was at the door barking one of those ferocious, I'm going to kill barks.
Mhm.
And I'm calling him, I'm saying, Trooper, it's okay, it's me. And he wouldn't stop. Excuse me. And as I'm getting closer, I could see that he had used his little body and had parted the curtains. And,
Mhm.
his eyes were like this and just frantic.
Mhm.
So I walked up and I went, like you do, and I looked in the door and there was the dead grandmother sitting on the couch smoking a cigarette. And she waved and she mouthed, "Hi, Donna." And I was like, and she got up and she walked around the sofa, and you could see all the way down the hall to their front door. And
Mhm.
the last room on the right was a bathroom. And she went in the bathroom, and I knew a fire was going to start. I knew it. And I
Mhm.
ran down the hill and I'm screaming, "Mom, Mom, Mom, help."
Mhm.
And my mom comes and she says, "What's wrong?" And I said, "Abby's grandmom is there. The one that just died is there." And she took a cigarette down the hall in the bathroom. And Mom, there's going to be a fire. Well,
Mhm.
who's going to believe that? Right?
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
oh, just calm down, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Well, within 5 or 10 minutes, here come the fire trucks.
Oh my
The
my
goodness.
bathroom
gosh.
on fire.
Wow.
So I was told, shut up, you didn't see nothing. Um,
Mhm.
then we moved back to Maryland. And I woke up one day and I called my mom and I said, "Mom, you have to call Mrs. Gooch. Her daughter, the baby's going to get hit by a car."
Oh my
I said,
goodness.
"She's going to sneak out of the house." It was a 3-year-old. And I said, "She's going to sneak out of the house, Mom. She's going to go on Manor Road and get hit by a car because she's going to ride her little tricycle out from behind another car and they're going to hit her."
Oh my
And my
god.
mom said, "Oh my gosh, that was a horrible dream. I'm so sorry you dream." And I'm going, "Mom, it wasn't a dream. I'm telling you."
Mhm.
Well, like an hour later, here come the sirens. The baby snuck
Mhm.
out of the house, rode her tricycle around, and then came out. She was okay. Luckily, she was
Good.
okay.
Thank
It's hard.
God.
They hit her, but
Mhm.
just touched her.
Yeah.
And luckily, the
Wow.
driver saw it. And that's when I shut down because I
Mhm.
got so tired of people making fun of me and, "Shut up. You didn't see that. You didn't say it. Don't tell anybody." That I said,
Mhm.
"Okay." And it wasn't until
Yeah.
I got married and we moved back in the same neighborhood to my
Mhm.
in-laws' house that then it was the ghosts and all that. But now my husband
Mhm.
witnessed that all the time too. So I knew
Yeah.
I would never said another word to my parents again. And then one other time, Anya was in the hospital for a surgery, and she coded. And my husband and I went down to eat dinner, and I said, I don't know what's wrong, but all of a sudden I'm not hungry. And then I looked at him and I said, we got to go. Something's wrong with Anya. And she was on the 9th floor, and we're on the first at Johns Hopkins, which is ginormous. And we're running down the hall, banging to get in the elevator. And when we came out, people talk about the last gasp, and she did that. And I just looked at him and smiled because I thought, oh, look, she snorted. She's okay. And then I looked at her and I like threw myself on the bed and I said, Anya, and nothing. And I screamed to Joe, she's not breathing. And I took my hand and I slammed the call button. And the nurse came in and I said, she's not breathing. So she called for the crash cart. And I grabbed him and I said, we have to go out in the hallway, get out of the way, let them work. We're standing there. Here comes the crash cart, and they're pushing it so fast around the hallway that it fell over, and all the equipment goes flying down the hall.
Oh my goodness.
Now, here's my daughter in the room not breathing. I'm hysterical. Joe's trying to calm me down. And they finally get everything up, and they go into the room, and this gigantic, you asked me if I was tall. This lady was well over 6 foot. Lady that looked and sounded like maybe she was Jamaican, put her arms around both of us, and she starts praying. And all of a sudden she stopped and she said, your daughter will be fine. She had no idea. I just said, that's my baby. That's my baby. Anya was like 13. I mean, she wasn't a baby. And she said, your baby will be fine. And gone, just gone.
Wow.
And the next day, we're asking everybody, who was that woman? And they said, there was nobody here like that. There was no, and you know, when they bring a crash cart, it's an entire team. And they asked the entire team and they said, you two were the only ones in the hall.
Wow.
And they said, there's not even a child on this floor right now that's not white. So
wow,
that was an angel.
Yeah.
You can't
that's
convince
amazing.
me that wasn't.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I
Wow.
believe it. Wow. That's
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
Wow.
when I started to let the angels back in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I said, okay, that's what that was, and thank you.
Yeah.
And
It's hard when, you know, when something happens like that and we think that that we need to shut it down because there was, you know, there's nobody there to say, no, you're not crazy, you know, and then it
right.
takes many, many, many years later for everything to open back up. But
Yeah.
in the same respect, it's like we had to learn all these things along the way,
Yeah.
you know, and
And I've
have
had
these.
so many experiences since then. You know, when I opened up and I said, okay, that was an angel. I may not say anything to anybody on that floor, but I know, by God, that was an angel. And then it just started happening.
Yeah.
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 So
Once you
I
open
was
those floodgates, they're not closing again.
Yeah.
right,
That does
right.
seem to be how it is.
Yeah.
That's a
And
good
I
thing.
think now they're just opening more and more and more and more. That's why
Mm-hmm.
they keep saying, you've got to believe, you've got to believe, you've got to listen, you've got to see them. We're
Yeah.
here. We're here to help.
Yeah.
Well, and the elementals especially are going to start making themselves more and more known.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
more people will probably start talking about it. Like, what is this? And
Yeah.
it's because everybody's ascending. I mean, now everybody, not everybody, but you know, people are waking up
Mm-hmm.
bigger and, you know, wanting to know more. Like, you know, just this weekend, how many people sat down with me that had never ever done it. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
really? I mean, to me, I'm like, I'm every day in it, but it's
Yeah.
shocking to me.
Yeah.
I think it's
I
Well, I
awesome.
never
don't know
heard
if
of
you
that.
two are following it. Tammy, maybe you for being in Texas, the monks that are doing that peace walk. Have you all heard about that?
I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
The people, I mean, they started out with one or two people, and now it's
Mm-hmm.
when they were here in my little town of 30, I think it's 3,200 people here in Rock
Mm-hmm.
Hill. They're estimating 8 to 10,000 people were on the lawn of that Baptist church down the street from me.
I love that.
And
Wow.
silence.
Mm.
When they walked by us, I mean, didn't literally touch us. Their robes were, we backed up. That's how close they were. It just brought instant tears to my eyes. The aura around every one of them, around the air, the ground just changed. And so many thousands of people are going online now and saying, just to be in their presence has changed me.
Because they're
And
brave.
there are not that many thousands of people in a little area like this that have woken up to what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going to start now. They're
The
going to
thing
start. And
is,
they don't know why yet. They're just saying, I don't know what it is.
yeah. The thing that I think that a lot of people do not concept for some reason is that you can join the fear or you can join the peace. You don't
Yes.
have to you don't have to buy into the scary feelings that are going on in the world. And in fact, you shouldn't. Because the
Right.
more you buy into the other side, the more we can elevate the peace. The whole reason for them walking across the country like that is to remind people of that, to remind them that
Yes.
there's a choice. We don't have to be scared. We can all turn to what feels good instead of what feels bad, and we can raise this vibration so that this negative terrible stuff has no footing to land, like
Right.
Mhm.
it can't fuel itself, and that's what people don't understand. It doesn't have to win. It doesn't have to, you know?
The fear is fueling the fire, and
Right.
fear's not real. False evidence appearing real.
That's right.
It's not even real. I
And
always, when I get stuck, I just say, show me what I'm supposed to
yeah,
be doing. And
yeah.
then or if I'm like trying to control a situation, but an
Mm-hmm.
outcome I want, I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, and if nothing's happening and I'm getting more worked up, I'm like, fine, I
Yeah.
surrender. And then it happens. It's like,
Yeah.
oh God,
Yeah. Yeah. Why was I
that's all I
forcing?
had to
Yeah.
do.
I always get the message you're not ready yet. Like, because I'm always like, go, 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 go. I want the next thing. I want the next thing. Like, I'm always like, if I touch any level of success, I want all of it, and I don't want the baby steps that get you to things. And the guides are always saying to me, they're like, if we give it to you now, you won't do it right. Like it won't work. It'll all crumble and it won't work. You're not ready. I'm like, no, I am. I'm ready, I swear. And then like on the other side of it, when it's like a year later and now I am ready and they're giving me the opportunity, they go, see, if we gave this to you a year ago, this wouldn't have worked. And I'm like, oh, you're so right. I hate that, you know, because
Is
I'm so
divine,
impatient.
yeah, divine timing.
It's a
It's all
thing
about
and it
divine
matters.
timing.
Yeah. Yeah. So trust that. That's definitely something you should trust. I think that's what I lack the most is trust. But anyway, like I said before, this was really fun and I loved having you guys. I don't know if you have any offers, Kim or Donna. Donna, do you do mediumship work as an offer?
Not as an offer.
Or
I
psychic work?
do.
I don't know exactly what you call it. So,
I have been working with a lot of people that were having physical problems
mm-hmm.
and combining a bunch of stuff to say, okay, let's find out what's wrong. Let's do a type of meditation, and I'm going to help you find your answers. I can
Okay.
guide you with, like you were saying, metaphors. My
Mm-hmm.
big thing seemed to be, and Kim, I'm getting citrine really hard with you, flowers and colors.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll go later, like I was telling you with, I know nothing about Merlin. Tammy, and I
Mhm.
don't know if you remember what I was telling you about that, but then they kept saying sapphire and silver. And it's like, okay, what does sapphire and silver mean?
I told you
That's Merlin's main
sapphire
colors.
was my dad's favorite gem. And actually, now that you say that, because I forgot we talked about that, sapphires keep showing up everywhere, like
And I think they
everywhere.
told you to look for them. What I was doing was the Akashic Records.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I started seeing other people doing them online, I felt I developed real strong imposter syndrome
Mm-hmm.
because everybody's doing the where you came from and what planet and what galaxy and all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I can't. That's just not me. Mine tends
Mm-hmm.
to take you back. Like if you say my shoulder is hurting really bad, or Tammy, with you, it was, do you know you have an owl sitting on your right shoulder? I asked you for permission later to go into your records and try to find out that story.
Donna, you
And
told me so much. Like, I mean, you should be paid for those kinds of things. Like you told me as much as I would have gotten from a psychic reading, you know? Like you tapped into several of my past lives. You picked up on Merlin being with me, which I
yeah,
will tell you, I would have been the last person to tell you that I work with anybody on the other side that you can define, you know? Now I know that I work with several, ascended masters and things like that. But Merlin showed up when I started teaching, and he didn't just show up to me. He showed up to every one of my students individually in all different ways. Some of them visibly, or not visibly, audibly heard him talking to them, and I heard him talking. And now he shows up everywhere I go. I mean, everywhere. Like every time I go anywhere, there's something with Merlin on it, or somehow he's right in my face going, "I'm here. I'm here. I'm here." And it makes all the sense in the world now that I look back on it. Oh, and you know what happened the other day? Sorry, I just thought of this. This this girl in my class sent me, she had a download or something, and she was telling me something about her own life. And I went, "Oh yeah, I keep meaning to ask my mom this." And I was on the phone with her yesterday and I forgot. But when I was born, I lived in apartment buildings called Camelot, and there was another one, Knightsbury. Knightsbury and Camelot are apartment buildings that I lived in when I was born, like when I was a kid. Like this is the thing. I keep seeing all these correlations now that Merlin's been in my life the whole time because all of these things add up as I go, you know, but I never put that together. And now when he did start showing up a couple years ago, I was like, well, that makes sense. I mean, geez, I'm like the most magical person I know. And so is my mom and like my whole family. Like you can feel magic around us. You always could, you know? And um I mean my grandma name is Mimsy, because it was like the most magical thing I could think of, you know? And the thing is that like him showing up makes perfect sense. It's just I would have been the last person to tell you that that was a thing, because I was so I don't want to come off as some crazy person. I don't want people to think that I'm, weird or have my head in the clouds or any of those things, but these are undeniable. These are so undeniable, you know?
Um,
that's right. He made you that necklace, right? The silver and sapphire necklace.
I don't know. I don't have a necklace like that. Mm-mm.
No, 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 no.
Oh,
In a
you were
past life,
telling me about a
Merlin
necklace.
made it.
You were
Yeah.
telling me about a necklace like that. Yeah.
And that's when he said to tell you to keep an eye out for the sapphires.
Oh, yeah, because you said there's a necklace that I used to own or something in a different life. Is
No,
that what?
Merlin made you a necklace. Forget me nots kept showing up. And I
Yeah.
asked you if I could go back into your records. And this was
Yeah.
days later and find
Yeah.
out. And it was because he made you a tiny sapphire, I believe in diamond necklace, but it was silver.
Mm-hmm.
So there was the blue and silver again to remember him by. And that was your soul agreement clue to start remembering Merlin when you saw,
Mm.
and remembering more when you saw the sapphires.
Hmm. Wow.
But
That's
see, this is what I get, and people don't want to know that now. They want to know what galaxy they come from or what planet or whatever. And that
yeah.
has never,
Yeah.
Who started
it's
that?
just, it,
The dragon behind you.
Mm-hmm.
I just looked up Merlin. Does Merlin work with dragons?
Oh, does
Yeah.
he?
Mhm.
Oh,
yeah,
wow. So I
And
had
the dragon
dragon.
looks like it has some blue on it to me.
yeah,
Well,
yeah. It looks like
it has little
Labradorite.
Smurfs on it. Little Smurf
Oh, it looks like
figurines.
Labradorite here.
Oh,
Oh, it just looks
yeah.
blue. But
Yeah,
I
it
looked it
just
up, so
I'll show you. It just has
love Smurfs.
little tiny Smurfs. I don't collect anything, but I love Smurfs.
Oh,
And so
Cute.
I have the only thing that people are allowed to buy me besides crystals is Smurf cups because I use
I
Smurf
got
cups.
that cup.
So I have the whole collection of these. This is like my third time having it from the 80s, like, Um,
Oh,
that's the only thing people are allowed to get me because I don't collect things except for rocks. Like I collect rocks.
look at
Oh
that
my God.
Merlin.
Oh yeah, that
That
is Merlin. Yeah. Yeah.
I just looked over and I was like, oh, that's Merlin.
Yeah.
There you go. There's your
So
confirmation.
so I didn't know that I had dragons until I want to say a year ago, maybe almost a year and a half ago or something. I was sitting with a friend who does crystal ball readings. And she's amazing. Um, but she actually came and taught a class for me, teaching us all how to read a crystal ball, okay, which was so fun. And anyway, one day I was on a call with her and we're just like talking, and she's always looking at her crystal ball, apparently, like when she's talking to people, because we were just on like a regular call, and she's looking at it and she goes, oh, you have dragons. And I was like, no, I don't think I have dragons. I work with a lot of people that have dragons, but I didn't think I had any dragons. And she said, oh, no, you have dragons. She said, you have two of them. They're white and blue. I would call them like fire and ice dragons or something. And I was like, I don't think I have dragons. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then she sent me the picture, and clear as day, there's two dragons in it. And they're very, very clear. And I was like, wow. And when I looked at the white one, so the white one's really big and the blue one's really small. When I looked at the white one, he looks a lot like the dragon from Neverending Story. Like he just has that face. He's a little more serious than him, but he looked like Falcor, I think his name is. And he looks a lot like him. Well, I mean, it's clear as day. Like, I'll include the pictures on this, so you can see it's clear as day in her crystal ball that they showed up. Well, then I asked them to show up in my crystal ball a few days later, and they showed up again. And then they showed up in the clouds. The dragon looks the same every single time. Like the white one looks the same every single time, and the little blue one, you can't always see, all the sorry, all the little details. But he's the same every time too. He or she, I don't know. And then I realized, oh yeah, I am the mother of dragons because two of my daughters are Conqueror of the Dragons. So I am the mother of dragons. So it would make sense that I work with dragons because they work with dragons. And then the Merlin thing. I didn't know that Merlin worked with dragons.
Yeah,
But I
There's a
definitely
white one also.
what?
yeah.
It mentions
I
a
was a
white
white
one.
dragon.
Oh, interesting. That's interesting.
And and I feel like the blue dragon is male, female, white.
Yeah. Yeah.
That when I tuned into it, that's what it felt
Yeah.
like to me.
Yeah. I mean, they're here. Like they're so, so present because ever since then, I feel them now. And I ask them, like if they're here to show me, and they do. So yeah, they're definitely here. I don't know what they're helping me with, but I definitely need that fierce energy. I know that. So I can have that warrior energy, you know?
Yeah, you gotta ask them.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I love all this stuff, obviously. I mean, I can't get enough of this. I mean, I just want to
Oh
live in this
yeah.
world, you know? Like, like I just want to live in the world of magic and fantasy, but it's
Yeah.
not fantasy, you know? I, all right, let me ask one last question because obviously we're going really long, but do you guys feel magic in the world? Like, have you always felt like magic is everywhere? Or is that, yeah, that's what I think. I have always felt magic everywhere. Like, I have
Mhm.
always seen magic in everything. I've always had moments that I knew in the moment were magic, you know, and I've had fantastic things happen that you can't explain, you know, you can't explain why and things like that. I don't think everyone has that experience, and I don't think that everyone feels that, and I can't fathom that. Like, I can't imagine my life not being this way, you
Yeah.
know? So how can people find that feeling if they don't have it?
Well, you have to believe. There's a clarification here. There's magic where you have, the quarter pop out of the sleeve or from behind the ear. Then
Mhm.
there's magic cult, like you're talking about.
Yeah.
So they're two different things. And the magic cult that you're talking about is more been named fantasy or fiction or false,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So again, it's because of what we were taught, and people are afraid to believe it.
Well,
It's
do you
everywhere.
know what I think that also that people don't realize or don't practice that I've always practiced? I think just because my mom's always been very magical, they don't look at, you know, okay, and this might sound crazy, okay, but I'm thinking about it because you have plants behind you, okay? Every time a new little leaf is forming on one of my plants and I notice it, I will hold that little leaf and I will say, I'm so proud of you. You know, like, look at you growing. You're so cool, you know?
Awesome.
And I just like I notice things like that. Like when there's little flowers that bloom on the walkway just from my car to my house, which is like 4 feet or something. Like it's like nothing. My driveway is right in front of my door, you know? But there's little flowers that will bloom, little tiny ones that nobody else will ever see except me. No one in the whole world. I will look at those flowers and I will say, thank you. Thank you for
Yep.
blooming just for me because that's so nice of you, you know? And like when I see the birds flying, I look at them and it takes my breath away. Like when they all fly together, I feel like it's like this magical art in front of me. And when the clouds make shapes, I notice them. And you know,
Mm-hmm.
when the wind blows and you can hear a song in it somehow, I feel that and hear that. I don't think that people do that. And I swear to you that that's where magic comes from
Yeah.
because you notice the little tiny amazing things all around you all the time and talk to them and acknowledge them and thank them, even if it's in your head. You don't have to do it out loud. You don't have to walk around being a crazy person like me. Um, but like, I think that is what brings magic to you. I really do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I
And
think
just
a
like
lot of
you
people
want to
don't
be
grow up with that.
acknowledged,
Yeah. Sorry, what?
well, what you're doing is acknowledging them, and don't you want to be acknowledged?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
smiled
So
at or
it's,
nodded or waved or something.
Yeah.
And so that brings more.
Yeah.
I think,
It just
it's a lot of it's conditioning,
Yeah.
like what we're born into. What do we sign up for? There's some people that are here to be the lesson, right?
Hmm. That's
And
true.
some will never wake up to, and maybe there's really nothing to wake up to. Like, who knows?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like I feel like for you, it's when you're living that life and leading that way, the
Hmm.
more you do that, the more your everything expands, right? Everything
Mm-hmm.
opens up. Your possibilities become huge.
Yeah.
And that's if everybody could get to that point, maybe we would get to that ascension, that 5D, you know?
So how could people take steps to get there? What do you think?
Oh
I
man.
think they need to look around. Look at the me, it's the clouds and the sunset every night. It's like, oh,
Mhm.
look at that sun. Look at the colors.
Mhm.
People look at you like you're nuts. I don't care. Anya and I will stop and get out in the parking lot, take pictures of them. Look at the flowers. When my mother-in-law died, she had bigger than we could put our arms around gardenia. That was her pride and joy.
I
She
love
died the
gardenia so
middle
much.
of January.
Mhm.
Not a bud on it.
Mhm.
The morning of her funeral, there was the most perfect, big, ginormous one gardenia on it.
I love that. That's so cool. I love
You know, and
gardenia.
Crazy.
Yeah.
it's like you were saying, say hi to the flowers, say hi to the trees,
Mhm.
you know, thank the rain for watering and the
Mhm.
sun for sun gives life. The sun's not a killer. But how
Mhm.
many
Yes.
people, you know,
Yeah.
that's the only thing I can think of. You've got to notice, you've got to look, you have to believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, I guess it's those people that, if they question it or ask you about it, like enlighten them.
Mhm.
Shine your light as bright as you can because that's what we are doing. We are light workers. We're shining the way, right?
Yeah.
And so the more we shine our light, the more people are going to be attracted to us, right? Because they're going to like what they're feeling.
Yeah.
And then when you're walking your talk or whatever that saying is,
Yeah.
it's what you put out, you attract,
Mhm.
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
So, I mean, that's, when I'm going to these gifting suites, I have no idea who's going to sit across from me.
Mhm.
But I'm walking in there with the biggest, goldest, brightest light I possibly can. And I'm
Mhm.
just like, whoever needs a message from me, whoever needs to sit across from me, please sit down,
Yeah.
and I get some magical people.
Yeah. That's
I
awesome.
Yeah.
mean, believe it or not, they're people too,
Mhm.
and I don't know. It's just, and it's a really good feeling when you can enlighten somebody about something, you know,
Mhm. Yeah.
and it's just, listening to if somebody inquires or, take it and run with it. Like, oh my gosh.
Mhm.
And talk to them until they can't hear anymore.
Yeah. I have this friend that we used to be Uber drivers together. And I loved that job because I met so many people and I saw so many things, and it just felt like I was part of the world. Like it felt like I was one with everything because I was just everywhere. It was an awesome job. And I would drive around and I would notice all these things that, I'm alone. So I'm just talking to me and my guides and God and, whoever, I don't know who I talk to. I talk to everybody. Um, and I'm talking to my passengers and all that. But I had this friend that was also an Uber driver, and he was like, I said, when the birds fly, like when you're sitting, I said, when you're sitting at a light and there's like hundreds and hundreds of birds that are on the wires all around you, and they all take off at the same time, and they fly up and they do these patterns and then they like come back down. I was like, isn't that the most beautiful thing that you've ever seen? And he goes, the birds? What are you talking about? What birds? And I was like, what? Like, what? Like, there's hundreds of them, thousands of them. They're everywhere. We have grackles here, and
Mhm.
there's like they're like little armies, they're so cool. And they're everywhere. You couldn't not notice them. That's crazy.
Especially all that color they have.
Well, and they're loud, and I know they're so pretty. And anyway, everyone here hates the grackles. They think they're a nuisance. I think they're the most coolest things in the whole world. I think I could watch them all day. I have watched them all day. Um, but uh, but I said that to him, and he's like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Holy crap!" And I said, just try to notice the birds, you know? So just
Yeah.
notice the birds.
Yeah.
And then he like a few weeks later, he was like, those birds are actually kind of cool. And I said, yeah, they're really cool. You should watch them more. And then I started talking about the clouds, you know, and I got him into the clouds. I started talking about the trees. I got him into the trees, you know. To this has been years now. And now he will just message me with like pictures of flowers as he's like walking to work or walking through a park. He'll be like, "Can you believe how beautiful this is?" And I'm like, "You wouldn't even know this is the same person, you know?" But
Awesome.
that's what I did. That's the only thing that I knew to do. I wasn't trying to like wake him up or anything. I just wanted him to see more beauty around him because I don't know what he was seeing before, but it definitely wasn't beautiful. You know, he wasn't noticing. It was like he was noticing the city or the smog or I don't know what, but he wasn't looking at all the beautiful things. And I think every area of your life, if you can shift your perspective just a little bit to see it better, it will be better. You know, it's not just that you're delusional, because I will be the first person to tell you I am delusional. I am by choice delusional, okay? Because I don't want to be part in all the crappy, horrible, terrible feeling things. So I will con myself into believing that the world is good, even if it's not, because I don't care if it's not, it's going to be around me, you know?
Right.
And so, the thing is, though, it's like, it's like you have to just shift just a little bit, just a little tiny bit. And if you can do that, you can actually experience that because what you're experiencing on the day to day is not that. And like a lot of people, at least, they're experiencing the fear around them and they're experiencing the lack and the limitations and the rules and the laws and all the things that feel icky, you know, and you don't have to, you know, like you don't have to. Um, and perspective can apply to everything. Like I was driving to a vendor event one time and I was late and I was so upset because I got stuck in Austin traffic, which you could get stuck in that for a long time sometimes, you know. I just left at the wrong time and I knew I was going to hit rush hour and I just didn't think about it until I was stuck in it. And I was sitting there going, oh my goodness, they're not going to let me in because they shut the gates at a certain point and the vendors can't even get in, you know? And I was like, oh man, what am I going to do? And I was like panicking. And then I thought, no, I am where I'm meant to be. I have to accept that. I'm here because I'm supposed to be here. And I remember like I was living in a lot of like lack thinking at that time. I was thinking like there's not enough clients, I'm not making enough money, I don't know if I'll be okay, you know, and I was stuck, so I had no other choice but to think, you know, and I looked around me and there were the side of the highway that I was on, there were three lanes and two side road. Like there was a side road with two lanes on that. So there were five lanes on my side. There were five lanes on the other side of the road going the opposite way. And then there was a an overpass that had two lanes. So there's like 12 lanes of people that are like back to back traffic. Everybody's stuck, you know, all around me. And I looked around and in my head, I said, how many people do you think are here right now, right around you? And I was like, there's got to be hundreds, like at least like 200 people or something, you know? And I went, if five of these people were my clients right now, I'd be fine. You know, five out of the hundreds that are around me. There is no lack. It's just perceived lack, you know? And I started looking around me after that at all the different situations. You know, like I always think like, "Oh my goodness, I don't know when the next client's going to come or I don't know if I'm going to be okay or I don't know if there's enough out there for me, you know? Maybe there's too much competition." If I just look around my neighborhood, there's hundreds of people. And the neighborhood across the street, there's hundreds more. And the one to the side, there's hundreds more. And another one, there's hundreds more. And I'm just like, oh gosh, there's experiences and opportunities everywhere. You just don't,
Just gotta believe.
we just don't look at it that way. And when you do, it's like they come out of the woodwork, like they come from places you didn't even know, you know? And I mean, I work with people all around the world. So, like, imagine that. Like, there's hundreds of people where I'm at, and well, thousands, millions actually. And then I'm like all the way in Ireland and Holland and wherever. Like I'm in a different place every day, it feels like working with
Uh,
somebody, you know?
Same here. Mhm.
But at the same time, somehow I go through times where I can convince myself that there's not anybody in the world that would want to pay me to learn anything from me, you know? And that goes back to your imposter syndrome, you know?
Yeah, you're talking to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just got to get out of tell our egos to go sit the fuck down.
Yep.
You just
That's
have to
plain
realize
and
that
simple.
you know, there could be 1,000 people going into the Akashic Records, but nobody is going to go into them the way that you are, and nobody is going to see them the way that you see them, or translate them the way that you do, or metaphorically explain them the way that you understand it. And there's a lot of people that need that. There's a lot of
Hmm.
people that really need somebody to say, hey, your life's okay. Look, let me tell you why.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so many people, if somebody could just come and say, it's all okay, they would be okay. But,
You know,
you know,
sorry.
no, go ahead.
The other thing is when I was speaking to somebody about, like lack, not having clients or whatever, and
Yeah,
they said, well, it's not everybody's going to like you, not everybody's going to want to work with you.
yeah,
So it's, the people that come to you are going to be the people that vibrate on your level, who see
yeah,
you, who need you.
yes.
And not need, but
Well, who
you know,
you need and they need you. Like,
yeah, who you
yeah, yeah,
resonate with each other. And I was like, oh, so now it's like, okay, I'm ready for my people. Or, like,
mm-hmm,
because sometimes I'll put the brakes on and I'll be like, no, I need a break,
mm-hmm,
or
yeah,
sometimes I'm just like, all right, open it up. And,
mm-hmm,
but yeah, I mean, what we put out there is what we get back. So that's why I always say be
right.
really careful what you're thinking about, especially with
Yeah,
our
Right.
animals, because,
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
they're a good testimony of our thoughts.
yeah. Well, I do want to
And
tell
they'll
you
tattle
that,
too.
yeah, they will.
For
Kim,
your highest good though.
yeah. Kim, you did a reading for me for Oliver because he's been really sick. He's had a lot of allergy problems and everything. He is getting better. He's been wearing a cone for a while, but it's stopping him from licking and pulling out his fur and everything. His skin is finally not bright red. It's still pink, it's still irritated, but it's finally not bright red, and a lot of his fur is growing back. We changed his food. He seems to be doing better on that. And we also added this mushroom blend to his food. And supposedly it gives them like vibrance and healing and whatever. I don't know all the things, but he is literally like jumping up and down now, like when it's time to go out and everything. And he's like an old man. Like he acts like an old man. He was born an old man, but he's like jumpy and happy and wants to play again. So he's definitely getting better, you know. So I just wanted to give you that update since you're here, you know.
Good. I'm
A
glad
lot
to
of,
hear that.
yeah, a lot of things you told me really helped, you know. And you did tell me that he would like me to cook for him, which I did for a week, and then I was like, yeah, this sucks. So I stopped that. But he was happy about it when I did it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing for the animals is they want to be heard.
Yeah.
They've got voices too,
Yeah.
and the behavioral issues, like, sure, we might cause some of it,
Hmm.
but it's like I always tell people, I'm like, don't shoot the messenger, but here's what's going on. And it's not that it's your fault. They're just letting you know
Yeah.
what's going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I'm glad you
Anyway.
gave him a week of cooked food.
Yeah, I mean, I bought this big thing of turkey, like ground turkey. That's what you said to do. And I cooked it all up and I gave it to him a little bit every day for like a week and he loved it. I just I'm not I'm just not that person, I guess. I don't know. Like I would like to be that person. I'm just not that person. Like I was
No
scared that
judging. I'm not judging
I was
you.
scared it was gonna go bad, and like I just had all these like I don't know if this is the right thing or the wrong thing because he was so sick. And then throughout the week, I kept thinking, when is it that it's too late to give to him? And it was a whole thing. So that's what it is. I'm just not that person, but I could learn to be that person maybe. You know. He is happier, which is good. And we've bonded a lot actually through him being sick, because he's needed me more. And that's been it really has made us bond, which I don't like dogs. Like I've never liked dogs. So like I'm a cat person and I've always told Oliver that I'm not his person, but he has chosen me because I guess he had no other choice really.
You will like dogs.
Yeah. And I've always told him, I'm like, I'm not your person. And he'll look at me like, you are my person.
Yes.
And and eventually I finally accepted it. And I'm like, all right, fine, I'm your person. You're my dog, even though you smell. But yeah, we've become good friends. So
That's good.
yeah,
I'm glad to hear it.
yeah, yeah. I love him. I don't think I'd get another dog, you know, but I do love him. I'm a cat person. I love cats. I love birds too, but cats and birds can't live together, so not peacefully usually. So
Never know.
yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. They could.
I
Yeah,
Anyway,
my
got
all
grandmother
right,
always
well,
had them.
yeah, cats and birds.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want anybody to hurt. Like I don't want anything bad to happen, so I won't even try it. But I would
me
love
like
to have a
Sylvester
parrot
and
again.
Tweety.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to have a parrot again. I used to have an African parrot and oh, that was so cool. I But love this. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank
And
you.
I'm so glad that we did this. So I will see both of you again soon.
Yeah, thank you,
Okay.
Tammy. It's
Thank
good to
Thank
see you,
you.
you.
Donna.
Have
Alrighty,
a
you
great
too.
night. Bye.
Alrighty. Bye
Bye.
bye.